Hey guys, this is Jeremy. I was wanting to show you guys this deck profile and a deck that I actually won something with. About summertime last year, the Dragon Ball community had Dragon Ball community discussion group had a deck building contest, and I decided to participate in the Dragon Ball theme deck building contest with this particular deck, and I ended up winning it. So it's red-green Raditz. I was wanting to show you the deck, my thought process throughout the deck, and why I went with this deck particularly. So let's start with the leader itself, Raditz. He's from set 7, which I think is Assault of the Saiyans, I believe. So his thing reads, Auto, when this card attacks a leader card, your opponent chooses one card in their hand and sends it to the warp, which I always just really liked in general. Active main once per turn. Look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck and choose up to one red and green Raditz, Vegeta, or Nappa card among them and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. And if you added a card to your hand, choose one card from your hand to place in the drop arrow. There's a reason why it does this, but you're not really gaining a card whenever you take it, so it doesn't have a lot of draw power. Of course, when it awakens, your life is at 4 or less, you may choose up to one energy and switch it to active mode for this card over. Again, not great. But the awakened side, Raditz Brotherly Hate. Auto, when this card attacks a leader card, your opponent chooses one card in their hand and sends it to the warp. I really like that still. And then active main once per turn, ship to one of your red or green Saiyan card in your battle area, and it gets plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. So, I really like. First of all, I like Raditz, period, anyways. I think Raditz was, in the grand scheme of things now, underutilized. I mean, it's Goku's brother who is the main character of the show. They could have done something more with him, but, you know, at the time, I know they probably weren't predicting Super and everything and how big it was going to get. But I just really like this leader. I really liked running red. I was really excited about the dual colors. So my thought process for building this deck is I was wanting to try to tell a story. And the story I was trying to tell was the Saiyan story of the Raditz coming to Earth, him leaving, napping Vegeta coming, the whole Saiyan saga. And if you notice, I know a lot of people, or not a lot of people, I know at least one person recently said something about using the actual era stuff. Like the era needs to mean more. So when building this deck, that's what I used. I used the era trait. So all these cards in this main deck are from the Saiyan saga. And I purposely did that. So let's go ahead and get into the deck. And I'm not going to go by energy like I usually do. I'm going to go by just trying to paint the story for you by showing you these cards. So the first card I have is a 4 of is Raditz, Arrival of the Invader. So that's how kind of like the story starts. Raditz arrives. He knows his brothers on Earth. So I'll kind of give you this card. I read it to you a little bit. Energy exhaust, so he comes into energy, he comes into rest mode. Permanent, if you have a red-green multicolor card in your energy, reduce the combo cost of this card in your hand and battle area by 1, which is really good when running Arrival. However, this main deck isn't going to be running a lot of Arrival. When you play this card, your opponent reveals their hand. Then you choose up to one battle card in their hand with 35,000 power or less, send it to the owner's warp, and this card gains critical. Good card for the combo and the rival. Again, this is just a theme deck, but he's in there because, you know, it's the Arrival of Raditz. And it's one of my favorite Raditz cards, if not my favorite. But it's a good card, but it's more for combo. But in this deck, thematically, it fits perfectly. Okay. Next, I put in 3 Son Gohan, Momentary Awakening. If you remember the series, this is kind of when he was kidnapped by Raditz and put in the ship, and this is when he gets angry because his dad's getting hurt. But when you play this card, look at the top 7 cards at the top of your deck. Show up to one green Son Goku card among them and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. So he goes get you Goku. So. Next card is 3 of Raditz, Saiyan in Arms, 1 drop. He's pretty vital to the actual how the story is told and how it's run. I tried to make the deck run as good as I possibly could. Of course, Raditz isn't typically a good deck to build if you want to play competitively, but it's fun, and I really enjoy it, and he's a key part of that. So auto once per turn, auto when you play this card, draw a card. An active main, 1 red, 1 green, place this card in its owner's drop area. If your leader card is a green Saiyan card, you have to 1 Vegeta card and 1 Nappa card with an energy cost of 2 or less and 10,000 power from your deck. Send it to your warp, and then shuffle your deck, and at the start of your next main phase, play all the cards you sent to the warp in the battle area. So he kind of symbolizes in the story, as far as like this deck, is him perishing, dying. He'll go to your drop, and when you do send him to the drop, that's kind of like him when he dies. His scouter gets left behind. Nappa and Vegeta hear it, and then so your next main phase, Nappa and Vegeta arrive to Earth. So next, I played 3 Unlikely Duo Son Goku. Okay. When you play this card, look at up to 7 cards from the top of your deck. Choose up to 1 Earthling or Namekian card among them, add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So he, again, Unlikely Duo Son Goku. These two decide to join forces to take on Raditz during the Saiyan saga. So he's important. Now with him, I paired with this next card, Piccolo, Special Beam Canon Unleashed. So this card reads, if you have a green Son Goku card with energy cost with a power of with 20,000 power in play in your battle area, and Piccolo Special Beam Cannon Unleashed isn't in play in your battle area, you can play this card from your hand without paying the cost. Active main, once per turn, choose 1 Son Goku card with 20,000 power or more in your battle area and place it in its owner's drop area. And then choose one. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 2 or less, ignoring barrier, and KO it. If you KO'd a card, your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and places them in the drop area. Or choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. So, it pairs well with this. He can come out, and then he can just turn around and come out for free. So he's a free play, and then he can choose one if you want to pop that. You play him, swing, play him for free, pop him, do his effect, swing. So he pairs really good with that. Next is like the finishing scene of the Raditz story, anyways. 2 for the greater good. This is a counter attack. If your leader card is green, negate the attack that you have to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with any cost of 1 and KO it. Permanent. If this card is in your drop area, you can activate it by playing its energy cost and removing it and 1 green card from your hand from the game. And when you activate this card, you can't activate for the greater good for the duration of turn. So this is pretty much telling the story of, the Special Beam Cannon being shot at Raditz, Goku, it kind of leads up to that. So you got Goku running at him while Piccolo's charging this up, and then he's holding him and lets Piccolo blast through. So that's how that... that's how the story goes. Spoilers, I might want to put that on. We're about halfway. We're about, 8 minutes into the deck build. Spoilers, Piccolo kills both of them. So now we're kind of getting into the Nappa stuff here. I played 3 Nappa, Vegeta's underling. His is Energy Exhaust. Permanent. This card can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills. When you play this card, you may choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop area. If you do, look at up to 10 cards from the top of your deck. Choose up to 2 red or green Raditz or Vegeta cards with an energy cost of 3 or less among them, and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. So he gets to go get Raditz and Vegeta cards. So I put him in there. It helps me get some of the cards out. Next, I played 3 Nappa the Cultivator. Active main. Choose up to 1 card in your hand and place it in the drop area. Choose up to 1 Cyberman card from your deck and play it, then shuffle your deck. So this is kind of the introduction of the Cyberman stuff. We'll get into that. That's a big part of, I think really made the deck really unique was the Cyberman. So I played 6 Cybermen Endless Explosions. Now you're kind of wondering, how can you have 6 of 1 card in it? Well, it has blocker, permanent. You can include as many copies of this card in your deck as you'd like. Now, why did I go with 6? So when Nappa and Vegeta get there, they bring these Cybermen out, or plant these Cybermen into the ground. they planted 6. There were 6 Sabermen that the Earthlings and Goku all had to fight off. Well, actually, Goku was actually dead, so it was just the Earthlings at this point. And Gohan, I believe. Gohan was there too. My memory serves me correctly. They had 6. That's the big thing. They had 6 Cybermen there. Next, I played 4 Nappa Demolition Man. He is the super combo for the deck. Auto, if your leader card is red or green, at the end of your battle in which you combo with this card from your hand, play it. So you can, swing with somebody, combo, comes out for free. Good card. Still a good card today, especially with some of the new stuff that's going to be coming out. Really like him for the deck. But, unfortunately, in the main deck here that I built for this Dragon Ball theme competition, there's no Arrival in it. So, again, we're sticking with the theme of the Saiyan Saga. I played 3 Vegeta Saiyan Elite, which is a really good card. He actually evolves on top of another card that I'm fixing to show you. But he's got Double Strike, Energy Exhaust. When this card attacks, your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and sends them to the warp. Again, just more hand removal, hand destruction. Active main, once per turn, 1 red, 1 green. If your leader card is a green Saiyan card, deal 1 damage to your opponent. So he's got built-in burn effect once per turn. He's kind of like the finisher of the deck. There's a monkey that he actually evolves into. You go from a 3-drop Vegeta to a monkey to this card. So I want to show him first because storyline purposes. Because next is I played 3 Last Resort Vegeta. So this is when Vegeta's fixing to put a moon in the sky because at the time, if you remember I believe it was like original Dragon Ball series, Earth's moon was already destroyed because they saw Goku. I think it was Dragon Ball. I think it was Raditz that did it. Piccolo, I think it was actually when Raditz came. Piccolo destroyed the moon, I believe is who it was. Destroys Earth's moon because the Saiyans were doing this, becoming great apes. So, deflect. When you play this card from your hand and your leader card is a Raditz card, you may choose 1 card in your hand and place it in the drop area. If you do, choose up to 1 Power Ball from your deck to activate it, then shuffle your deck. So he goes and gets this, and I play 3 of Power Ball. Okay, Power Ball's a field card. Auto, when this card is placed in the battle area, choose up to 1 green Great Ape card from your deck, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Then switch this card to rest mode as an active main, choose up to 1 red or green Saiyan card in your battle area, and it gets plus 5,000 power for the turn. Okay, so I'll show you the monkey here in a bit. That's not this next card, but this next card is him getting beamed down or getting the power from the Power Ball there. And it's Vegeta the Cruel, which in the time this card first came out was really good, really hot. A lot of people played it in red and green. Really good card. To counterplay, play this card. And then it says permanent, if a multicolored card is in your energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1. The auto, when you play this card during your opponent's turn, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with the energy cost of 4 or less, KO it. Then your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and send it to the war. People played this card competitively for a little bit. I put him in this deck because he matches the theme. So the Great Ape that the Powerball goes and gets after playing the Vegeta Last Resort is Great Ape Vegeta Energy Manipulation. So this is an active main. If there is a Powerball in your battle area and Great Ape Vegeta Energy Manipulation is not in play, play this card from your hand on top of a Vegeta card in your battle area, draining cost of 3. So you play the 3-drop, you play the 3-drop Last Resort, play the Powerball, go get the ape, play the ape on top of it. Okay? And then when you play this card, activate this skill. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, this card can't be KO'd by skills or battles, or be removed by the battle area by skills. So the only way he can really be hit, from my knowledge, is if you play a card that says negated skills for the turn and then KO it. And then when this card is placed in the drop area from the battle area by a skill, you may choose 1 red card and 1 green card in your energy and switch them to rest mode. If you do, choose up to 1 Vegeta card that has both red and green in your drop area energy cost of 6 or less and play it. So you got to remove him from the battle area. And if you have that 6-drop Vegeta in your drop, it's kind of like a spin 2, remove him, get him in there. Now, the way you go about removing him, and the last card I'm going to show you in the main deck here, is Yajirobe Chase and Tail. I really like this card's art. It's really interesting. Really nice, full art. It says permanent. If a green Vegeta card at a cost of 6 is in play in the battle area, which the monkey is, you can play this card from your hand without paying its energy cost. Now, when you play this card, you can't play Yajirobe Chase and Tail for the duration of the turn. And then activate once per turn, choose up to 1 green Vegeta card with the energy cost of 6 in your battle area, place it in its own drop area, and draw a card. So he's the one who just free gets rid of them. So and that lets you go get the 6-drop, letting his auto go off and everything. So, and this is the part where Yajirobe cuts, Vegeta's tail off. So that's the main deck. Again, it was really fun building this. I really liked the story. I really enjoyed building it, and I was really surprised that I won. One of the things I think can't remember his name. He's like the community leader. One of the reasons why he picked the deck was because it stayed close to theme. It told a story, and it doesn't really have a whole lot of meta cards in it. There's good cards in it, yes, but they're all part of the story. I wasn't trying to build a deck that was actually going to be competitively good. I just built it because I wanted to tell the story. So I was very, honored that he picked my deck. I have not tried this deck in particular out, not this build. I play Raditz a lot because I just really like it, but I have not tried this deck in itself. Part of my deck too was the sideboard. I took the sideboard in consideration for when building this deck. So let's look at the sideboard real quick for it. Raditz Ruthless Adversary was in the side. It wasn't main boarded because his auto, only works against all their decks but black decks. So it pretty much says, auto, if your leader card is a Raditz card, when you play this card, choose one. Draw 1 card for every 2 non-black cards in your opponent's board. Or auto, choose one card in your life, add it to your hand, and choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 1 and KO. So I like playing him late game against other decks, maybe turn 4, where I've warped a bunch of cards and I play him and I just get draw power. The deck is terrible when it comes to draw power. Most of the cards that you read were choose a card in your hand and discard it, and the leader doesn't draw you, so you're just losing cards the whole time. I wish they would do something about the leader and make him a little bit better, maybe reboot him, at least where he draws a card, or if you look at the top 7, choose up to 2 Vegeta or Nappa cards. If you choose to, drop 1. So at least he's gaining the card that way. But this is part of the sideboard for that. Next, I sideboard the Hidden Power of the Saiyans, just a counterplay. This is a good card as well. If your leader card is green, your opponent may place the battle card they're playing in its owner's drop area instead of playing it. If they didn't, your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and places them in the drop area. Now you're probably thinking, why is this card good? They can just, you're trying to bounce a card, right? Trying to get rid of it. Right, you would be right. They can decide, well, I'm just going to pitch 2 cards, which against Raditz, you might not be able to do or you don't really want to do, but you can. However, if that card they're playing has Deflect, this just says we'll just pitch 2 cards for playing it. Because it just says, it doesn't, the card says Deflect, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Your card can have Deflect. I'm going to play it, now you're going to pitch 2 cards because you played it. So, that's a good card against Deflect cards. Okay? Sideboard 3, Mach Speed, Kaioken, Son Goku, another counterplay card. Reads kind of like the Vegeta, only when this one says, when you play this card, choose up to 1 of your... Actually, just when you play this card, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 10,000 power for the duration of the turn. Then if it's your opponent's turn, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 5,000 power for the duration. So you can give something minus 15 for playing as a counter 2 cost. Again, Saiyan Saga, I sideboard for that. It gives me another Goku. And then my last card, I had to put some more negates in there just in case I went into a real aggro deck. Full Power Energy, counter attack, negate the attack, and then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards at any cost of 1 or less KO. So I know he doesn't really wear this particular outfit. I think in the Saiyan Saga he has the shoulder pads and everything, but I needed some other kind of negate to go into the deck to round out the side deck for the competition as well. So I put that in there. So that is the actual deck itself with the sideboard. I love playing Raditz, period. I really enjoy playing it. It's not very good. I want to play this actual version of the deck, but it's just not very good. But I was tinkering with it a little bit, and I have, played it before. So I'm gonna show you some cards that you can actually put in this deck that work well with it, if you want to make it a little bit better. So we'll start with some Unison cards here. Raditz, Invader from Afar. Now I played Raditz this week with a friend and had this guy in here. And let me tell you, he works pretty well with the deck. Now again, you have a pitch a card, and it's not fun with that, but so is your opponent. But it says I can flip up to one of your opponent's life face up, which actually came in handy even to get with his older deck, because then he +1 can really matter. You may choose one card in your hand and discard it. If you do, your opponent chooses one card in their hand and discards it. You jump to one of your cards, and it gains critical for the turn. So one of my cards, it can be him, it can be Unison, it can be a leader, it can be a battle card, whatever. But you can activate main once per turn, look at that life, and well, what happens if it's an SCR? Well, I'm gonna give something critical, and I'm gonna swing with it. Or if not, I'm not gonna swing with something that you're not gonna get that in your hand if I can help it. So at least not on my turn. So when there's -5, your opponent chooses 3 cards in the hand and discards them. Again, really good if you're playing with Raditz, because he's constantly making you warp cards and there's other cards in the deck that make you pitch cards. So it's a very hand-controlled deck. He worked really well with it. I was very excited when I saw the announcement of him, and he does work well with it. Now, the problem I don't like, one of the things I don't like is he's a 3 cost. You have to play at least 3. And turn 3 is usually when you're trying to get the monkey and the Powerball out. But I guess if you don't have it and you have this instead, or you look like you can't really go for all that right now, you can go this route, and he works really good with it. Vegeta, Resolute, Agent of Destruction. He was kind of my finisher in that build that I had against my friend. He's 4 cost Unison card, but he has double strike critical. And then choose one card in your hand and discard it. When this card is played, shift to all your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and KO. It just wipes the board. And then his +1 is this card gets +5,000 power for the turn, so he can come out for 4. I can put a card in the drop area, wipe your board. +1, it'll be 25k double strike critical swing, and he's got 5 markers on him at that point. He's a 20k. He's going to be hard to go off the board at that point. His -5 for this deck really doesn't matter, so we're not worried about that. Shocking Death Ball. This is a negate that I just keep in this deck. Your leader card's greed, negate the attack, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards. The energy cost of 2 or less and KO it. You'll get the sparking effect off of picking Vegetas and Nappas and Raditz out of the deck. You'll get 5, so even if you're tapped out, you can still use it. If I had one, probably would rather run Dormant Potential Unleashed. Would probably work a whole lot better. A little bit expensive for my blood right now, but I would definitely put that one in there if you have that one. Vegeta the Lone Prince, super combo. This card can't be played with skills from any area. And then if your leader card is green, your life is 4 or less, goes super combo effect. If your leader card is mono green, when this card is played, your opponent chooses one card in their hand and discards it. So you can, and again, if you just really need to get rid of a card, you can play it and then swing with something super combo. If you're at 4 life draw, you can also get them off the Raditz effect when you search for them. This guy's a must. If you're going to run Raditz red-green, this guy's a must. He's your energy exhaust card. Broly Demonic Origins, his permanent. If there is a card that is both red and green in your energy, other than this card, negate the card's energy exhaust skills in all areas. So turn 1, play it like that. Turn 2, you can play it open. So definitely, if you're going to run Raditz red-green, must. This is more of a sideboard card. Big armor. If your leader card is green, your opponent can attack with battle cards with energy cost of 5 or more until the start of your next main phase. If I was really going to go like super control hand destruction, I'd run it in the main deck, but I just have it in this. I would put this more of a side deck card. Son Goku, Power of Legend. Critical, unique, and then if your leader card is green, one of your card skills make your opponent discard a card, and you play this card from your hand. So, the Raditz leader, other cards in the deck that make them discard, you just free play him when you do that. He's a 15k crit. Send this card to the Warp as an active main, and you can't play copies of this card for the turn. Should be one of your opponent's battle cards or any cost of 4 or less. Send it to the Warp. So more board removal. SSB Gogeta Resonant Explosion. I've actually never tried to say that word. I would just say, hey, five drop Gogeta Arrival card. That's all I've ever called it. But double strike, and he's Arrival, red-green with 1 red energy. Auto, when you play this card, you have to one of your opponent's cards with the energy cost of 4 or less, KO it, and you can't play copies of this card for the turn. Really good card in general. Works really good with the off the Nappa effect, so you can get both those cards out. I think it'd be a 20k double strike if you wanted to go a little bit more aggressive. And if you run the Unison cards, you know, Frieza, Charismatic Villain. I know it feels dirty running a Frieza with, you know, all these Saiyans, but just a good card. He's just a really good card. Permanent, if you have a green Unison card with 2 or more markers in play, you can activate cards counter skills from your hand without paying. This card's counter skill without paying the energy cost. And then when you play this, when this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 7 or less and KO it. So if you're going to run Unisons, you might as well run this too. I mean, it's good, you know. But that's pretty much the deck. Again, had a lot of fun building it. Thank you to you know, the Dragon Ball community leader. I think his name's Abraham. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he chose the deck back in August of 2020. I went back and looked at it just to make sure, because I had this thing looking all different because I was running all this stuff in it. But you know, really fun deck build. If you want to go look at it, it's on the Facebook. It's in the Dragon Ball Super Trading Card Game Community Discussion page. August 8th was the date. You can type my name in, Jeremy Stallings, and see it, and see why he picked the deck. I'm gonna try to post it to the YouTube page if I can. But tell me what you guys think. You know, do you run Raditz? Do you like the Raditz leader? Do you wish they'd reboot this guy? I wish they rebooted this guy. I'd love to make him just a little bit more better. I've played him multiple times. I've won some games with him, but it's him. I need him to be rebooted to draw more, or more cards that draw more cards, or something, or less cards that make me drop cards, or if I drop it, there's something that, you know, better than just constantly pitching cards to play cards, you know, just something. But let me know what you think of the deck, you know, and I'll talk to you guys later.